are OG YouTubers now? Hello, you gorgeous donuts. In 2005, YouTube was created, and ever since that moment, millions of creators have uploaded videos to this platform. And a lot of the early creators of YouTube are referred to as OG creators, so I thought in this video, we would take a look to see where some of the biggest people from around when the platform started are today. I'm really excited for this video because obviously I do this as a job, and it's going to be interesting to analyze like the longevity of these people and if they fell off or if they're bigger than ever. It's going to be an interesting one, and as this video progresses, the creators' journeys get even more interesting. So the first creator that I want to cover is someone that I'm really intrigued by, and this is Jenna Marbles. I think Jenna Marbles can be classed as YouTube royalty. Like, she's beloved by a lot of people, and you're going to see at the end of this segment on Jenna Marbles why she's no longer on the platform. As in June 2002, Jenna quietly walked away from the platform for good and never returned. Now, for people that don't know much about her, you're probably wondering why this happened, and we are going to get into that later. But before we get into that, I want to discuss how she actually grew on the platform. So Jenna grew up in New York, and before starting YouTube, she had a variety of jobs. She worked in a tanning salon, and she was also a bartender. And I always like to hear when creators have had a job before, because they appreciate how good the opportunity to do YouTube as your full-time job is. Like, if you've never had like a, even a part-time job before this, I don't understand how you can't, it would be a lot harder to appreciate it because you don't know what it's like to work a job that you don't like. She first started her YouTube channel in 2010, which is mental how long ago that actually was. Like, thinking of it, 16 years ago nearly. What? That seems like that should be like 2 years ago. Her first video was called How to Trick People into Thinking You're Good Looking, which obviously I definitely would need some advice of. It was basically like a self-aware piece on beauty hacks and stuff like that.
Hello there, friends, and welcome to my tutorial.
Oh, okay, right, stop straight away. This is gonna get copyrighted with the Rick Roll song. I know it's not it's Rick Astley, not Rick Roll. That sounds like a special edition Greg sausage roll that they'd released, the Rick Roll. I don't know why they'd do that. Maybe it's for Rick and Morty. Anyway, but even things like that, like copyrighted music back in the day, I don't know if that was as big as what it is now. Now they're hot on you. Now you can't play a second of a song without them biting your ass.
I've already taken some steps before we even start. I've bleached the absolute out of my hair.
Like, she is really funny. You can tell this even from her first video. Like, a lot of YouTubers' first videos is really awkward. This isn't awkward. Like, someone could upload this video today and people would still find it funny. Now, that video actually exploded. Apparently, it got millions of views very quickly, which is just mental for your very first upload. And over time, Jenna would recreate this formula of like comedic sketches that were very self-aware, and people loved her for it. I never watched that in her prime, but when me and Chloe first got together like 6 years ago, Chloe would make me watch her videos, and it's one of the reasons why I have the dog that I have today, as Jenna would often do videos about the dogs that she's adopted, and she had like an obsession with Italian greyhounds, and one of the main reasons why I have an Italian greyhound is from watching Jenna Marbles, because Chloe was obsessed with that. So if Jenna Marbles never uploaded that YouTube video we've just seen, I would never have the dog that I have, which is just a weird, like, is that the butterfly effect? A random lass from New York makes one decision and it changes my life. Now, a lot of the time when you look at content creators from like the OG era, you look at their content and you're thinking this wouldn't stand up today. Like, if these people tried to grow this way today, it just wouldn't work. However, I feel like Jenna Marbles really breaks that mold, as that self-deprecating humor is like so big on YouTube that, she would thrive even today. And I do think that's why she had longevity on her site when it came to YouTube, as she'd amassed over 19 million subscribers by the time she'd left, which is just crazy numbers. Like, she's got a diamond plaque. Do you know the aura you need to have a diamond plaque? Like, it's so sad that that'll just never happen to me, ever. I need to order like a fake one off like, I don't know, some sort of dodgy website. Can someone make that for us if anyone has any diamonds spare? Now, like I mentioned, Jenna Marbles' brand was very centered around her dogs as she was growing, and she actually released merchandise that was centered around her dogs, and this would sell really, really well. And at this point, you could argue she was kind of at her YouTube peak, as she was raking in millions of views per month, and everything she touched kind of turned to gold. However, things started to go wrong for Jenna, as people found videos that had resurfaced that she'd uploaded when she'd first started her YouTube channel, and that caused huge offense to a lot of people. There was various videos centered around race, and there was also, stuff about, shaming that people didn't like from her.
And then there's Martha. who's Roman's mother. She's very proper, and she lives in the UK, which has absolutely nothing to do with anything at all.
Now, obviously, people are valid for feeling offense to this, you know, like this is, you wouldn't be able to upload this today without getting for it, a lot of and I imagine it's something that Jenna still to this day regrets ever doing.
Act like a slut, but I would only judge you in how many you put in your body on a regular basis. Someday, I hope maybe you realize that it feels much better when you're just not having so many in you. John Mayer said, your body is a wonderland, but you know what? It's your choice if you want Wonderland to be an exclusive club, or if you want Wonderland to be like a theme park where kids get in for free on Saturdays with a canned good.
Now again, you can see why people would obviously be like, that's really weird, and I imagine, you know, in her, you know, childhood, she probably did have some internalized misogyny that she, you know, just said online. And as she's grown out of that and grown up and became her own person, you know, she's definitely probably changed her viewpoints on things she said there. I'm not trying to defend this woman, by the way. I'm just trying to offer, you know, an objective point of view. She's definitely in the wrong for both of those videos we've just seen. Now, when these clips were resurfacing, Jenna would apologise for them, saying that's not the person who she is now. However, these clips would then resurface again a few years later, around 2020. And for the people that possibly haven't seen Jenna apologise before, they're gonna want to demand another apology because they feel like, you know, they need an apology because they didn't follow her back in the day when she apologised for it. This might be new viewers or just people that don't even watch her entirely and have just found out about the situation. And after the second time all of these clips had resurfaced, Jenna actually made a full YouTube video apologising for those videos that she made back then. This apology is now deleted from her YouTube channel, but it has been re-uploaded. And I watched the entire thing, and, you know, looking at it objectively, like, you know, she did bad videos in the past that she shouldn't have done, but I feel like she really took accountability compared to some other YouTuber apologies. I know the bar is kind of on the floor for these things. It's definitely hard to find one to, you know, model yours off again. Just don't do what that, you know, last did where she played the, what was it, like the ukulele or something. Whatever you do, don't pull out an instrument. I didn't even watch that one, by the way. I just seen that she had an instrument and went, yeah, nothing good can come from this. Like, there was a couple of lines in this where she said, look, I didn't mean to offend people, but it doesn't matter what my intentions were. I have offended people, and that's the main thing. And, you know, you rarely hear that in a YouTube apology. Normally it's kind of deflecting or blaming, and it didn't seem like there was any blame in this. You know, obviously it's such a tricky situation, especially when you're not the person that is affected by the actions of the person in the video. It's very hard to judge it compared to the people that it's actually affected, and it's always important to keep that in your mind when you are watching something like this. But I did have a look at the comments on this re-uploaded video just to kind of, you know, gauge what people are thinking, because normally under apology videos rarely is it a positive environment, and all of the comments are like really good, like really good. Like, there's hardly one bad comment. She's the only YouTuber I've seen that didn't make any excuses, just admitted she was wrong and moved on from it. It's been 3 years, I still miss her, I hope she comes back eventually. This is actually the most genuine apology I've ever seen, and it brought me to tears, and no one asked for it. No one was trying to cancel her. Not saying what she did was okay by any means, but I respect her for this. And it is interesting to see a response like this and see people, you know, forgive someone when they do an apology. Obviously, it's kind of down to the people that were affected by the, you know, the videos to, you know, accept that apology on an individual basis, whether they do want to support the person in the video further after hearing them out. But it is nice to kind of see, like, oh, people actually can forgive online. But again, I know every single situation is different, and in even personal lives, if someone you over, does something that you don't like, it's your choice whether you want to forgive them, and sometimes people do stuff that is unforgivable. And after this, Jenna kind of just disappeared. She no longer posted on YouTube, or she no longer streamed, or, you know, posted on any of her social media even. And still to this day, I don't believe that she has posted. Like, she doesn't really give anyone updates. She very much lives a private life now. Obviously, you know, she will be a multi-millionaire, I imagine. She'll have businesses that she runs in private. She'll be doing something. She won't just be sitting around all day. I can't imagine, you know, she would do that. But it's interesting how she was able to just cut it off like that. I wonder if for a while she'd been kind of feeling this way, and she'd maybe been feeling guilt, or she'd maybe just, you know, kind of just got sick of people bringing it up, that she eventually just decided to just walk away from it and just kind of protect her own peace. One of the biggest updates about Jenna that her audiences had wasn't actually through Jenna, it was through her partner Julian. I believe it was on Instagram that he announced that they had actually gotten married, and you see here, like, you know, they've got the dog in the pram, and they look very happy. And, you know, this is, you know, really nice to see that they've, you know, stuck by each other through all of this, because I used to watch this Julian do streams as well, and he seems like a really nice guy. I believe he still streams today. I think he does really well as well, which is great to see. Like, he might have been a little bit worried when Jenna walked away, as she was the bigger creator, that maybe his stuff would, you know, kind of go downhill, but it seems like he's just gone from strength to strength, and that's really nice to see. People also know she's doing well because they've seen her like walk the dog and stuff, but I think people kind of respect that she no longer wants to post online. And one thing I do find really fascinating when people kind of walk away, or, you know, they've maybe had their peak and, you know, they've fell off now, is, has this person kind of left a legacy on the platform? Like, do people remember this person? And I definitely think they do with Jenna Marbles, because still to this day, bearing in mind she walked away like years ago, she still gets 1.2 million views on her YouTube channel. That is absolutely crazy. That is more than what a lot of successful creators get now per month being active. Before we move on to the next creator who has an even more controversial journey, I just kind of want to predict whether I think Jenna will come back. Personally, I don't think she ever will, because I think she's permanently kind of closed the chapter now. It's almost like the lid is on, you know, the can now, and if she kind of comes back, she's opening up that can of worms to, you know, have people comment on her, and, you know, just a lot more stress in her life, I imagine. So I think she's probably perfectly happy just living a private life now and having Julian just be the one that is more public. It will be interesting to see, though. Let me know if you would like to see her back, or if you think she should just stay offline now. Anyway, the next creator that we're going to cover is somebody who I used to see everywhere back in the day, and I believe is the definition of an OG YouTuber. Fred! Yeah, you heard that right. Just Fred. Not just Fred. Okay, one name. Fred Figglehorn is a fictional creator made by a man called Lucas Cruikshank, I believe it's pronounced. Apologies if I've got that wrong. It was a very high-pitched, like, fast-paced character that lives life at like 100 miles an hour. I remember, like, hating this person back in the day because I was in school, and I think just the voice of the character us off. I obviously didn't hate the creator of it. I just hated the fictional character that was Fred. Now I don't, because I'm an adult and I realise what it was. But just when I was a child, it kind of pressed me wrong buttons. Now Fred would go on to be the first creator that really was hugely successful. However, that is so different from the reality of Fred today, as Fred is no longer around and has been replaced by someone else entirely. Now Fred started off on YouTube by posting his first ever video called Fred on Halloween in 2008, which is 2 years earlier than what Jenna Marbles uploaded her first video. So he's like the OG of OGs.
I'm Fred, and Mom, I'm not using your camera! But yeah, as I was saying, I'm Fred, and I'm gonna be a wizard for Halloween. The reason I'm wearing a witch hat is because my mom was a witch yesterday.
This is so crazy to see YouTube videos like this, like back in the day, just how they were kind of framed and how there was no structure to them, and how they were just so raw. It was literally just, you saw the people turn the camera on, there was no editing, and they just start speaking. Now, as a lot of people watching this are probably, you know, wondering how did this do well, like straight away the voice and stuff like that. But back then, this was kind of the humour, weirdly. Like, people in my school used to find him hilarious. Like, he used to collab with the annoying Orange, who was like a big meme back in the day, and I remember people just walking down the corridors just quoting this, thinking it was the funniest thing ever. Now, because this video did really well, Fred again would, well, not Fred again, that's a DJ, Fred again would just kind of recreate this voice in all of his videos, and just kind of kept building on the success of it. He had videos such as Fred on St. Patrick's Day, Fred goes to the park, Fred gets babysat. Well, Fred's got an interesting life, hasn't he? Now, I found this so wild when I was doing the research for this video, but the success of these videos would actually propel Fred to being the first YouTube channel that would hit 1 million subscribers. Like, that's such a cool thing to have as an achievement. Like, you were the first YouTuber to hit 1 mil. Like, what? That's incredible. That's something to be proud of. No matter what happens, like, on your journey, you've always got that. Because that is one really wholesome thing about people that started YouTube back then. There wasn't any money in it, so people did it because they really did enjoy it. Like, when I started YouTube, I did it because I really enjoyed it. But now when people get into YouTube, there's always the thing of, are they doing it because they like it, or are they doing it because they know they can make money, they can, you know, get loads of brand deals, sell a course, or whatever the hell. There's a lot more incentives to do YouTube now than just, you know, the enjoyment of it. So that is one big reason why I will always have a lot of respect for, you know, some of the creators that first started posting on the platform. One of the first people to believe in Fred was Nickelodeon, and Fred actually did so much with them. He would also feature on a lot of their shows so they could kind of build up his character, such as iCarly, Hannah Montana, and also they'd get him onto big talk shows in America like Good Morning America. So they were kind of really building him up, getting him that exposure so that he can possibly have his own show and movies, which is what happened next. Fred would go on to make a movie on Nickelodeon called Fred the Movie. Just keeping it right to the point, you know, so everyone knows this is Fred's movie, if anyone's wondering. The premise was Fred going on this journey of trying to, you know, go out with his crush, who was actually played by Pixie Lott, who was my like childhood crush. I didn't even know that she was in this movie. I didn't know anything about this movie prior to researching it. Just before we move on, I need to tell you this. Like, I remember being on a school trip and I was on a bus with another school. There was this like girl that I fancied, and for some reason I thought a good idea would be to listen to Pixie Lott Turn It Up, I think it was called. I like listened to it like 7 times on the bus, and then I sang it to her because I thought that would be, you know, the way that I don't even know what I was hoping for. I was literally like, what, 9 or something. Anyway, we got distracted there. The tone of the movie was very similar to his YouTube videos, that quick paced, like high, you know, just voice that he would do, which obviously makes sense because that's his character. But I was kind of intrigued to see how this actually performed, because it's one thing doing that for 4 minutes, but it's another thing doing that for an entire movie. Would the audience not get fatigued by the character at that point? I know the average age of, you know, people who would watch this movie is definitely very young, so that does help. However, the movie was actually really successful and brought in a viewership of 7.6 million people, which is absolutely mental for back then in 2010. That was just in the premiere week of it as well. Like, I don't know how much it got after that, like from rewatches and everything, if there were any, because it did fail horrifically with the critics. As you can see here, it's got 0% on the tomato meter, but the popcorn meter's got 42%, so we'll take that. I do want to read out this review from one of the top critics. This film's a 12A because it contains behaviour that would be dangerous if copied. Quite right too. If I ever see anyone acting like Fred, I'll probably loose off a shotgun at them. So that's a great review for someone to leave on a children's movie. Now, despite these reviews, Nickelodeon actually decided to make a sequel to the movie with Fred. They called it Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred. It was basically like a Halloween sequel, so they try to put a little bit of a spin on it. I think the premise is Fred believes that his neighbour's a vampire or something. And the ratings weren't actually as bad for this one. They were a little bit better, but it still wasn't great. So Nickelodeon thought they could try it one more time to just really squeeze out as much success out of Fred as they possibly can. So they made a third Fred movie. This is the best trilogy ever, by the way. Lord of the Rings, where are you at? I haven't seen that franchise since this dropped. This was called Fred 3. Camp Fred. Now, this was seen as the least successful of the 3, and Nickelodeon decided to not do any more Fred movies after this. But still, a huge success to get 3 movies from just being a YouTuber. Like, that is success in its own right. It doesn't matter what people think about it, because you were doing something right, personally. That's what I think. I'll never have a movie, you know? So, Fred, you've got that over me. Not once, not twice, 3 times, fella. But again, it showed the potential of, you know, YouTubers in the mainstream. And today, like, how many YouTubers do you see on TV shows? Like, YouTubers, it's just a normal thing for them to appear in things like that. Like, I'm watching Nico Amalana on The Celebrity Traitors at the moment. Like, that's just normal now. But back then, it really wasn't. So you have to kind of give, you know, the character of Fred his credit for really breaking through. Now, by 2014, Fred had definitely slowed down with the output of his YouTube videos. And just with everything in general, the character of Fred was starting to fade as the success dropped. And Lucas Cruikshank, the person behind Fred, actually started posting as Lucas as himself, not a character anymore. He would often post collabs with his cousin Jenny, and some of them would be like, you know, vlogs, or he would do kind of sketches, just stuff that was more personal to him, I guess.
So casual in the bed.
This is where we're gonna be every Tuesday.
Alright, let's get to the questions then.
It's strange to just hear like his normal voice. Like, when I saw his face there, I was expecting the whole high-pitched thing. It's just so strange to just see him talk normal. Lucas also publicly came out as gay in 2013 as well, and at this point I definitely feel like the character of Fred was buried. It was now Lucas doing his own thing away from the character. As today, Fred the character is just dormant. Like, there's no content posted by Fred. It's all by Lucas as himself. Now, before clicking on Lucas's YouTube channel, I was a little bit worried because I kind of didn't want to see a fall off from him, because I thought that would be pretty sad for how successful he's been and how much he's probably pushed the platform forward without really knowing it. But I actually got a nice surprise as I went on his YouTube channel. His videos do, like, you know, they do fairly well. They do really well. Like, he's got 100Ks, 200Ks, one's got 400K. And also, they're like fun videos. You can tell that he will have fun doing these, and he's able to, you know, make a career off it as well. One thing that is very clear is, despite him making a lot of money from the Fred character, he still has that passion for YouTube, which is amazing. And it shows that, you know, this is very clearly something that he enjoys, and he doesn't just do it for the money. I just think this is a fantastic thing, you know, because a lot of YouTubers, you can tell who doesn't really like YouTube, because once they get famous or once they get money, they stop posting. And you're like, okay, so you were never actually in this for the love of doing it. You were just in this to be rich and just get a lifestyle that you wanted, and as soon as you got it, you're just leaving it. It happens time and time again. It's nice to see it kind of be flipped and the opposite happen. He's posting more than ever now. As our final creators, and I say creators that we are covering in this video to see where they are today, is arguably the most beloved or most successful UK creators from YouTube, Dan and Phil. Dan and Phil are arguably the most successful UK duo to ever come out of YouTube. Their journey first started separately in 2006. Phil Lester uploaded this video to his personal YouTube channel.
Happy Mother's Day, for one. I got my mum this for Mother's Day. It's a monkey trapped in a cage. Hey! Help me! Help me! Anyway.
Looking back at this video, it looks kind of creepy. It's how some Netflix documentary starts, and then there's a beat drop, and it's like, then he went on a killing spree. It's just the fact it's in black and white, and he's got something in the game. He's actually really nice, this bloke. He posted this to the YouTube channel Amazing Phil, that was his name on there. And Dan Howell, whose YouTube name was Dan Is Not On Fire, actually posted his first YouTube video later in 2009, after, I believe, connecting with Phil online as first a fan, then a collaborator.
Hi, so my name is Dan. Nice to meet you, and this is my first...
Honestly, like, I'm kind of rating the haircut. For anybody that does follow me on Instagram, you will know that I recently posted, you know, a carousel of my trims back in the day. Very similar to Dan's here. But you can tell it's so authentic, like they're just doing this because they enjoy it. Now, apparently their first in-person meetup was actually in October 2009, and then they would go on to make their first collaboration called Phil Is Not On Fire.
Why do you always make cat whiskers on your face? What does a giraffe sound like?
I remember so many people having this back in the day, like painting this on. Like, this was like a huge thing. I'm pretty sure it was like a sign that you were a fan of these people. I remember people in school doing it. I believe the series of Phil on Fire actually became a reoccurring series after this, as people loved the chemistry that they had with each other and the humour, and you could just tell that they actually were friends off camera, which later on in this video we're actually going to find out. Was that really the case, or was it something a bit different? But because they collabed all the time, it created this kind of fandom around them. Like, I would argue that out of anybody that has ever had a community, like, on YouTube to the level that they have, theirs was, like, so tight in terms of like how obsessed they were with the creators. I definitely think some people had like a parasocial relationship with them. Now, as their visibility grew and they started to become more successful on YouTube, they actually both moved to London for better opportunities, and this would kind of spark their careers going to the next level. As by the mid 2010s, they weren't just YouTubers anymore, they'd also had a book, which by the way was so successful. When I've looked at it today, I can't believe how many good reviews it's got. Like, this has got nearly 3,000 reviews out of 4.7, which is absolutely crazy. Like, this is a hugely successful book. They also had a tour, which was called The Amazing Tour That Is Not On Fire. They had other huge live shows and radio shows. They even had a joint gaming channel that they started in 2014 called Dan and Phil Games. Like, they were doing everything. Like, you can hear the noise. Look how many people's there. That's their first one. I just got goosebumps looking at that. Like, I've been on stage for Batch and Arthur's tour, and like, that was a lot of people, but I feel like this could be, you know, I don't know, this could be like 5,000 plus people in here. This is crazy. Now, this tour actually sold out, not just in the UK, but around the world, which just shows like the appeal of these two. Like, people adored these two people together. And as they were growing, obviously their fandom started growing, which they actually were called the Fandom, I believe, with a PH. And like I previously said, I I think people thought of Dan and Phil as their friend rather than just like an influencer that they watch. It was a different kind of relationship they seem to have with their audience, a really special one. And I do think it was because they were so relatable and they were so open, and you know, you could tell they weren't really, you know, kind of, you know, being a character, or they weren't trying to portray themselves as anything else other than who they actually were as people, which is the best way to be, in my opinion. Because if somebody doesn't like you, then it's like, well, you just don't like me as a person. Like, I'm just being myself. If you don't like it, that's totally fine, but I'm just gonna continue being me. Then in 2018, because of the success of their first tour, they decided to have another tour, which was called Interactive Introverts. Now I want to read this so I get the figures right. It had 80 shows across 18 countries. Like, 18 countries? There's like success and then there's success. I haven't even been to 18 countries. How do you think I've been to countries in the double figures? Now this tour, I believe, definitely solidified them as, you know, like global performers at this point. They're that next level of like fame where you can't just call them a YouTuber anymore. Now during this time, they would also collab with other huge creators of the time, such as Tyler Oakley and Sprinkle of Glitter. They were like, you know, banging back in the day. But one thing they have talked about during this time is they were unsettled about how much like some of their fandom kind of shipped them together in a relationship. There was a fan fiction that was wrote by them. I think this is quite a famous one within the community, called The Hat Fic. Now I haven't read this, but I am gonna, you know, read this for the first time. You know, I woke up during the night, my body freezing cold, and I was unable to move. I opened my eyes and they were wide with shock. I looked down and I was naked with ropes tying me to a chair. And in the corner with a sinister look, Dan, that was also naked. Morning, Sleeping Beauty. I was wondering how cold the room had to be for you to wake up. Oh my god. Someone was very, very, you know, feeling a certain way when they wrote this. His voice sounded so fluffy and innocent. How can a voice sound fluffy? But the words coming out weren't. He was only wearing his fluffy brown hat. He pulled it off to reveal a small black creature sitting in it. Striker, who I believe is a hamster. What the was he doing? I don't normally swear, but this situation was so confusing and I was terrified. Don't worry, love, I feel like it's warranted if you were in this situation. I'd be swearing my head off. What was Dan going to do to me? Did it, Dan? What are you doing? Why am I tied up? Well, I can't read this, man. What is this? Dan, what are you doing? Please stop. He stormed over to me and gave me a rough kiss as opposed to a smooth one. Everything will be okay, I promise. Dan grabbed a gag from behind me and put it over my mouth. That's nice of him. Right, always a great thing to do. After a short time, his seed exploded into the... You'd use the term, his seed exploded, would you? That's great, thanks for that. But he didn't stop there. He kept on going until the hat was filled up to the top. The white liquid was nearly spilling over the top, and my poor hamster was barely able to breathe. The hamster was in it and pushed it down into his own What? Who comes on a hamster? Worse, who comes on a hamster and then tries to drown him in it? Also, how you got so much seed? Have you been like just storing it? I didn't hear you can't, what? Like a full hat worth? Yeah, taking the there, like, not a chance. I don't care. In one go, for a whole hat? Okay, I'm not reading the rest of this because I can see it just gets really, really bad. If you want me to react to this in a full video, maybe said read YouTuber fanfiction, drop a like on this. If it hits 7,000 likes, I'll do it. Please don't do that. Now I've said it, I regret it. But the reason why I did, I hate Chloe for linking me that. Chloe was like in the fandom for like Dan and Phil. She wasn't like an intense one, so she says, but she linked me that and said I had to read it. So that's the first time. I hope Dan and Phil don't watch this. The reason why I did bring that up is to show how intense some of the viewers were. That is, you know, I can't imagine what it's like to read that being Dan or Phil. Anyway, moving on. After 2018 had passed and their interactive Introverts tour had finished as well, Dan and Phil kind of slowed down the content together quite a bit. Obviously, they'd just kind of been on this momentum wave and it must have been so overwhelming. Like, they would have been busy every single hour of every single day, like no days off. Like, it seemed like they kind of jumped off the train a little bit here. Apparently, the gaming channel Dan and Phil Games actually went on a hiatus starting in late 2018 as well. And one major moment happened in 2019 when Dan actually made a video telling everyone that he was gay. And the title is kind of straight to the point. It just says, basically, I'm gay. No clickbait there, just, yeah, basically, I'm gay. So everyone's on the same page when we click on this video.
Secrecy and a whole lot of internal screaming. Starring Daniel Howell, one of the greatest mysteries of our generation. What is Dan's sexuality?
Spoiler alert, I'm not straight. The foundation of life.
You can see like how just his comedic time and everything, like his charisma is so great, like in his creativity, like the way that he kind of started that video and everything. Like these people are supremely talented, and like I said with, you know, the previous creators we've covered, I think maybe it's not Fred, but definitely Jenna Marbles could stand up today if she started and tried to grow from nothing today. And I feel like the same for these two. I feel like they have that, you know, that spark, that thing that people, you know, I don't think they were just successful because they got in there early like a lot of other people who eventually fell off. But this must have been such a great moment for him to just be able, you know, with all of the, I don't say conspiracies, but all the theories around, you know, his sexuality, for him to just be like, right, there you go. Right, you can stop your chatting. You can stop your, I'm making the room really cold and tying you up. I'm not doing that to you. I'm gay. In this video, obviously, he talked about his sexuality, and he also just talked about growing up, and he also talked about, like, internalized homophobia that he apparently was feeling. And Phil also followed with his coming out video as well. And their audience had also matured with them. Like, their audience would be, like, you know, young adults now, not, you know, very young kids. And one thing that's great about them is they managed to evolve their content rather than just doing the same thing over and over and getting left behind. When YouTube algorithm started, you know, take control, and you had to actually, like, you couldn't just really post exactly what you wanted, how you wanted, you had to adapt to the algorithm. They did it, and they managed to keep their brands afloat and, you know, still do really well. Now, as of today, like this week, Dan and Phil have actually had their biggest announcement that they've ever did in their entire lives online. Are Dan and Phil in a relationship? The truth.
All right, let's get this over with.
Yep.
Are Dan and Phil in a relationship?
Yes.
All right, bye. Oh, sorry, you wanted more, did you?
Oh.
You want the juice.
Okay.
The tea, the blood, the tears, the
Oh my god.
Well, you're going to have to watch a bit longer.
It's okay, it's going to be fun. I believe in your attention span.
Relationship. What does that word even mean?
Which is like mad, because I'm the first to admit, like, I didn't, you know, invest myself into their journey. Like, I have never, like, been on this journey with them. I've researched all of this in the last week, but I do feel really happy for them. And I think it's just because I've learned a lot about them in the last 7 days. And now when I saw that this video was released and I watched it, I was like, this is just, like, really nice that, you know, they haven't fell out. They haven't, you know, drifted apart. They're actually in a relationship together. They, like, this, it's very clear that their relationship was so transparent from the very start, and they've obviously had feelings for each other the entire time, and, you know, they've been together. They just didn't tell people. They could have easily have used this to, you know, sell more tour tickets, or, you know, do what other people do when they're in a relationship, like, especially two influencers, like, use it to promote both their platforms. Like, a lot of the time it can come off as if two people are just trying to grow their brands together, whereas this is very clearly not the case with these two. Like, the comments are really nice as well. They really said, I'll tell you when you're older. They waited for our frontal lobes to develop with this. And you can see how well the audience has matured, because they're looking at it from their point of view. You know, all of these factors may have been a reason why they, you know, haven't, you know, they didn't announce it earlier. They wanted something for themselves because their entire lives are online. You know, that was for them, and that's just such a nice thing. It's so, like, wholesome and authentic, in my opinion. And again, it's nice to see OG creators still doing really well today, despite all of the changes that the platform makes, and despite the severe competition there is now. It's just nice that they seem happy, you know, like, that's such a great thing. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. This took, like, a tremendous amount of research, and also editor Hannah puts loads of effort into these, so if you don't mind dropping a like, we would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already done it, and if you want to see me do this exact concept but with famous TikTokers, click this video right here. We've also got one for memes as well. It's becoming a little niche on the channel. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I'll see you over there or over there. Bye bye.
Kirkham, baby.